Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my first drive video on BMW's X6M Competition. I must admit I don't really understand and get these big heavy sports SUVs. Saying that, when I had the X5M Competition on my channel a few months ago, I was impressed with that car. Truckloads of practicality, reasonably good looks and performance in a straight line at least that would rival many supercars out there. I've never been a fan of the way the X6 looks, and the same goes for this flagship X6M, although this Donington grey paintwork does help. And in fact, from the front where you're looking at it, it's not too bad. It's only when you get around the back I really don't like it. All I can say is I really think it has looks that only its mother could love. But apparently there are people out there that do like this car, and in fact, whilst it's been parked in my village, I've had a mixed response from my neighbours. Some have absolutely loved it. One of them called me and said that she thinks someone's driven in the back of my new car. So kind of sums up the mixed opinions. What I'm hoping is this X6M is going to be more fun and more capable on the road compared to an X5M, because otherwise it's less practical and more expensive. So makes very little sense in my opinion. These start at about £112,000 on the road here in the UK. This particular car is about £130,000 on the road. We'll go through the list of options once we get inside the car shortly. Under the skin, it has very similar ingredients to the X5M, the M5, the M8 Coupe and the M8 Grand Coupe. So we have a 4.4 litre V8 twin turbo under the bonnet, producing 625 horsepower and 750 newton meters of torque. This has the brilliant ZF 8-speed gearbox, and power is fed to all four wheels through BMW's M xDrive. Unlike the M8 and the M5, you can't decouple the front axle, so it's always an all-wheel drive platform, but you can control to a certain extent where the power is going from front to rear. So when you're in four-wheel drive sport, it sends a lot more power to the rear axle. Before we jump inside, I want to say a massive shout out and thanks to the sponsor of this video, botb.com. The Dream Car Competition Company have been around for 2 decades now, and in fact are currently giving away 2 cars every single week. Tickets start from just 40 pence. They now have a wide selection of 180 cars to choose from, and in fact 20 of those cars happen to be BMWs. So you can get cars like the new M3 and M4 Competition, the M5 Competition, the M8 Coupe. Each one of those 180 cars comes with £50,000 worth of cash in the boot. You need to be 17 years and older to enter the competition. There'll be a pinned comment below. It'll also be in the description, so please head over and see if you can win yourself a dream car. Competitions finish every Sunday at midnight, so good luck, and please support those guys because they support me and my channel and allow me to continue doing content like I'm doing today. Before we jump in the driver's seat, let's jump in the back. I think that's where this car really struggles. It's 5 meters long and 2.3 tons, yet its rear seat practicality isn't brilliant. The driver's seat is in my position. Remember, I'm 6'4", so pretty tall adult, but still, in a car this big, you'd expect me to be able to get in the back. Now, firstly, getting in, the actual door opening is pretty tight. And once I'm in here, well, my knees are jammed up against the back of the driver's seat. The rear infotainment screen, which is an optional extra, we'll talk about soon, is sitting just about an inch above my knees and nowhere near my eye line. So if I wanted to watch something here, I'd be putting my head down. Actually, that's probably not a bad thing, because if I do lift my head up, it jams against this beautiful Alcantara headlining. It's really not designed for people over the height of about 5'10" back here. The seats themselves, well, the base is reasonably comfortable, the leather's beautiful, but the actual backrest is very, very upright, obviously to open space in the boot and also just make it possible to actually have a bench in here in the first place. Let's close this door. Ergonomically, I suppose it's not too bad for your elbows and stuff. We've got 4-zone climate in here. I've got heated rear seats, the infotainment screen as we talked about. We've got headphone jacks down there, DVD player. I've got some, I think they're wireless headphones in here. They are indeed. Oh, they're very nice. I wonder if BMW would notice them going missing. I've also got some USB ports down there to charge my phone, etc. And with this slightly reduced size panoramic sunroof, there is a fair amount of light coming in here on this otherwise dull day. Yeah, not massively impressed in terms of space back here. Oh look, there's even sun blinds, which are reasonably tricky to fit for me anyway. Maybe that's just because I'm so cramped back here. Anyway, let's jump in the front seat. Okay, in the front of the cabin, well, it's a completely different story up here. It is lovely. Best seats in the business, the same seats that we first saw in the F90 M5 when that came out in 2018. I talk about them a lot on my channel. They are so comfortable, so adjustable, and so supportive when you need them to be. These ones just happen to be heated and ventilated too. Driving position, typically BMW, very, very good. Can't complain. Lots of headroom up here for me. Everything, the ergonomics, the feel, just beautiful, spot on. Everything is where I want it to be. Operating system 7, digital cockpit. I have buttons where I want there to be buttons. We have BMW's brilliant iDrive controller here, and also some touchscreen capabilities. So just spot on. I think everything is perfect. We've got the M buttons at the top of the steering wheel here, M1 and M2, which I can preset to have all of my favorite settings. So if I go down here into the setup menu, we can look, there's different engine and chassis and steering and brake settings in this particular car, and below that you've got the MX drive setup, so 4-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive sport. There's no rear wheel drive. We did talk about this car having the ultimate package, which is an £18,000 option, and within that ultimate package there's a number of individual options. So let's have a look at them now. I have to use my phone because I would never remember all of these off by heart. So we have the carbon engine bay cover, we have soft close doors, acoustic glazing, which is effectively double glazing, so cuts out all of the sound. You're not going to hear this cyclist go past. In fact, you don't hear cars or even trucks go past when you're in here. It's amazing. We've got M carbon wing mirror caps, or door mirror caps. We have the M carbon rear spoiler. This also has BMW's Sky Lounge panoramic glass sunroof, very similar to the one that's in my 7 Series. It's loaded up with LEDs and they correspond to the ambient lighting in the car. If it's orange in here, those are orange. If it's blue in here, those are blue. It's really, really nice feature, especially in the evenings. This has got rear sunblinds, as I tried to demonstrate while sitting back there. It also has the luggage compartment package, whatever that is. I think it might be some of the underfloor storage and stuff that's going on in the boot, maybe some of the nets. It has sun protection glass, so darkened rear glass. Cup holder, temperature and cooling in the front here. So these two cup holders not only have the function to keep your cold drinks cold, but when you have hot drinks in there, I had a hot chocolate in there yesterday, in fact, you can turn the heating element on, and it really does keep them warm. It's not, it's not a gimmick. It really either keeps them cold or warm depending on what you want. The ultimate package also consists of ambient air, which is some lovely smelling almost perfumes that are stored in the glove box, and you can operate them via the iDrive. Makes the cabin smell really nice. We've got massage function in the front seats, driving assistant professional, so a bit of autonomous driving function, a bit like I've got in my 7 Series and I've demonstrated on a few BMWs recently. Really handy on long journeys, does take a lot of pressure off the driver. This has BMW's fantastic and very powerful laser lights. Has a TV function plus, I don't know what the plus bit is, but you can get a number of free view channels to watch in the car, either in the back or in the front. Bowers & Wilkins Diamond Surround Sound. Well, it is a very good sound system in here, and there are plenty of little speakers scattered all over the place. It also happens to look very good as well. I love the metal plates, especially on the door cards and stuff. So very high quality premium sound system. Rear seat entertainment, BMW Professional. Well, we've talked about them. They're not really ideal unless there's kids in the back, because in terms of where your eye line is, well, they're down here. and your eye line's up here, so you're going to be looking down. I'm not sure that's going to do you any favors in terms of car sickness on long journeys. And the final option included in that ultimate package is the M Drivers package. We'll put the engine over into Sport Plus and give it a couple of revs. As you can hear, absolutely no cracks or pops. It's a modern car. It's stuffed up with OPF filters and sound regulations, etc., that come out of the EU at the moment, but it still sounds pretty good. Okay, launch control in BMW's X6M Competition. They claim it will do the 0 to 62 sprint in just 3.8 seconds. It's very wet and cold outside, so far from ideal conditions. My race box is ready. I'm in four-wheel drive and I've got all of the traction aids switched off. I'm also going to do the shifting myself. Left foot hard down on the brake, right foot on the accelerator. Here we go. Oh, it just hooks up so well. Second gear, a little chirp in second. 3.6 seconds, 0.2 of a second quicker than they claim in these conditions. Unbelievable. The traction that it found off the line then was unreal. I'm sure you agree that that's an impressive time, especially in these conditions, but it really didn't struggle to find any grip, and I don't think there was any more performance in this car. And in fact, when I tested the X5M Competition at the end of summer in dry, ideal conditions, that also posted a 3.6 seconds on the race box. So I think that's about where these cars sit in all conditions, and you can't argue with the straight line performance of this and the X5M. I mean, that's mighty. What you could argue is that the M5 Competition with the same engine and running gear can do that same sprint in 3 seconds flat, and in fact the fastest I've ever timed it was 2.99 seconds, and if you missed that video, definitely check it out, it's up here. Sub 3 seconds, incredible. And that just shows you that with the same setup, same engine, gearbox, MX drive system, the lighter M5 Competition can do the sprint. I mean, it's over 300 kilos lighter than this car, so that's basically 3 of me. This car has a staggered wheel setup, so smaller wheels in the front and bigger wheels in the back. But when I say smaller, the fronts are 21 inch and the rears are 22 inch. The tyres are also massive in terms of width, so the fronts are 295 section, which are way wider than the rear tyres of my M2 Competition. And then the rears on this are 315 section. And I might be wrong, but I think that is basically 911 turbo width. I mean, it's ridiculous. So you've got so much grip, and it kind of makes you realise why it does launch off the line in all conditions so well. But when you factor in those massive contact patches, along with the fairly aggressive negative camber that this car's got to give it that sharp handling, what you end up with on the road is quite a nervous car. It tramlines a fair amount, so it likes to follow bits and pieces on the road. It never feels like it's settled. It always feels like it wants to go left or right, almost like torque steer in a front wheel drive car, especially when you're pushing on. And I haven't really enjoyed my time in this car whilst pushing on. The X5M just feels so much more relaxed and capable at the limit, but the caveat to that is when I had the X5M, the weather was a little bit better and a little bit warmer, so maybe that has something to do with it, but I'm just not impressed with the way this car handles. When you push it hard, you would think it would feel really planted, but actually it feels the opposite to that. And in fact, it kind of reminds me of the X3M Competition. really fidgety, never settled, and just nervous, if you like, always a little bit nervous. You never want to let go of the steering wheel, a bit like the Mini GP3, and you just wouldn't expect that in a car this big and heavy with xDrive. It just doesn't make sense to me. You would hope then, when you knock it back out of your preset M mode and the suspension back into comfort and the automatic gearbox into a slower setting, that this car would settle down and become a good long distance GT SUV sports coupe thing, whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't. In comfort, it's still way too firm in here. I mean, this road isn't the best, but it represents the typical British B road, and this car just feels really unsettled on it, even in comfort and when knocked back. The calibration in the gearbox is fantastic, and BMW always get that right in pretty much every single car, especially cars that have got the brilliant ZF 8-speed box. But the ride quality is just not great, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the massive wheels and the rubber band like tyres that it has on it, but I just think it's too stiffly sprung. I'd love to try a regular X6M, because I'm sure that would suit the UK roads a lot better than this competition model, and the same goes with the X5M really, and the M5 competition, if we're being honest with ourselves. To me, the X5M competition seems to ride and handle better, at least here in the UK. I really think this X6M competition is too stiffly sprung by maybe 30%, and also the rebounds on the dampers are just too quick. It makes it feel like it's a pogo stick. There's no fluid motion, it's just like this, which is not great and almost quite dangerous, especially here in the UK with our bumpy roads. Let's just come in here. I mean, the turning is great, there's not much steering feel, it's quite a numb sort of setup, as you would expect in something so big and so heavy. The performance, I mean, there's no denying in a straight line this car, bus, whatever it is very, very fast, but it just always feels nervous. It feels like it's on the edge all the time and moving around, and that's that tramlining effect. I just don't like it. I'm not encouraged to drive this in a spirited way, and therefore I just don't understand the point in it. Why would you buy one of these over a 30 or a 40D that's going to give you twice the efficiency and pretty much all of the torque and usable performance? I just don't understand it. And the 30 and 40D are going to give you a much better ride, because the suspension setup's going to be a bit softer, and you might not end up with such ridiculous sized wheels on your 30D. I'm really glad I got to spend a week with this car to experience what it's actually like to live with and what it's like to drive in all conditions, because up until then I kind of judged it on its looks, and as you probably know, I'm not the biggest fan of the way it looks, so I never really had much respect for it. And now that I've lived with it and experienced it, well, my respect, if anything, has dropped. I just don't get this car. It's £130,000 worth of confusion, it really is. Why would you buy one of these? I don't understand. Please, if you're looking at one of these and an X5M, get an X5M. More practical, better looking, feels better on the UK roads especially. It boggles me. I don't understand what this car is all about. And call me a BMW fanboy, but if you want a big sports SUV coupe looking thing, go out and buy an Audi RS Q8, because that car does this job so much better. When you're in comfort in the RS Q8, it has the best ride ever, even on its ridiculous 23-inch wheels. And when you put it into sports or dynamic, as Audi call it, it turns into a bit of a weapon. So it's got the best of both worlds. and it's bigger in the back and a bit more practical off memory. Guys, thanks a lot for watching this video, and please remember to head over to BOTB using the link in the description or the pinned comment and see if you can win yourself not one of these Audi's brilliant RS Q8s. I'm glad they don't have one of these on BOTB, because I wouldn't be encouraging anyone to go over and win one. If you can test drive one, if your friend's got one, go and take one out for a quick drive and see if you agree with me. I know that people are going to be in disagreement, especially owners of X6s and X6Ms, but if you are going to buy an X6, buy a 30D and enjoy the better ride and fuel efficiency, because yeah, I haven't seen much more than about 22, 23 in this car. Much down to the weight of it, 2.3 tons, just ridiculous. But anyway, thanks for watching guys, and I will see you at another one very, very soon.